So Mexico's becoming a big economic force. So last week, front page of the Wall Street Journal, big story, that Ford is going to build a major plant to make cars, trucks, and parts in Mexico. And they're going to make these cars, trucks, and parts, and they're going to send them to the United States, no tax. Now, you're all smart people. Most of you are hard-working people. I think everybody in this room is hard-working. People in Iowa are hard-working. They are. A friend of mine asked me, a wise guy in New York, he said, what do people like from Iowa work? I said, very simple. They're hardworking and they love the country. It's true. They love the country and they're hardworking. It's great. And it's one of the reasons I'm doing so well in Iowa, because that's what it's all about. So in Mexico, I said to myself, why are we doing that? How does this help us? Ford is coming in to build a plant. They're going to make cars and trucks and parts, and they're going to send them into their country. That means we're not going to build a plant, and we're not going to make those cars, and we're not going to have that involved. We're going to employ thousands of Mexicans making Fords to send to us. How does that help us? Stupid people think it's wonderful, free trade. Now, free trade is fine. The problem with free trade is you need smart leaders. Because free trade's a disaster if we have dumb people leading, and that's what we have. We have people that don't have a clue. So I said to myself, well, what would I do if on the 16th I announce that I'm running? Watch what happens. We're going to have a lot of happy people. And I win. I'm going against all these. I'm going against all these politicians. All talk, no actions. All bullshit. I mean, I'm with them all the time. I've been dealing with them all my life. All my life. But I see them walking the stage. The moon will rise and the sun tomorrow will come up. And I'm saying, oh, just get us jobs. We don't want this stuff. I hear them all the time. And to me, it's not even good speakers. To me, it's not. Because it's just words. It doesn't mean anything. They're good at one thing. Remember this. They're good at saving their jobs. That's all they care about. That's all they care about. So I'm like a lone wolf in this pack. And believe me, I don't need the lobbyists. I don't need the donors. I don't need anything. I'm just doing something. I don't even want it. I work at great companies, and what I will do on the 16th, if I decide to do, I have to say that because it's very important to say that. But I'm going to give my financial statements. People are going to be shocked how good. They're great. Very little debt, tremendous. I built a great company in a relatively short period of time. A great company, some of the greatest real estate assets in the world. And that's the mindset. That's the mindset that our country needs in its leader. We have to get our best negotiators. I know them all from Wall Street. I know the great ones. I know the bad ones. I know the overrated ones. I know them all. We have to get our smartest negotiators, not some guy that gets a job negotiating against China because he's a political donor and he's incompetent. We need our best and our finest and our brightest. And I know them all. And I do. I know the overrated. I know some guys you think they're smart, they're not. I know people you never heard of, they're the smartest of all. And I'll put one in China, I'll put one against Japan, I'll put one against Mexico. Let me tell you, those countries don't have a chance. We will do very well. We will make a lot of money, and we'll save Social Security without cuts. So what happened? I said to myself, what would I do with a Ford? Well, I'll tell you what I do with Ford. Okay, I wouldn't even use one of my killer friends. Because it's so easy. I'd rather do this one myself. I may have to report in some form that I'm going to make the calls. This whole thing is so crazy. But I would call up the head of Ford. Nice guy. I'd say, congratulations on your plant. I think it's wonderful. $2.5 billion. It's wonderful that you're going to make cars and trucks and you're going to send them to us. Okay? In fact, why don't you just let the illegals that are pouring through, let them drive them over the border? Then we can have everything. Remember, we're a dumping ground, remember. So we can have them all have a truck, a car, just until they get, then we can sell it to some American and we get nothing out of it, okay? But I would say to the head of Ford, congratulations on your new plant. I think it's wonderful. But here's the bad news. I'm going to charge you 35% tax on every single car, truck, and part that you make that comes in. If another person, one of the political people that you see that are up here, that, perhaps I'll be competing about with a little while, okay? If one of these people are in that same position, they're going to be called, and they may even say that. They may even say that. We just lost a big plant from Tennessee. It's going again to Mexico. Big car plant, like $1 billion plant also. But it's going. So, so they may even say it. But here's what's going to happen when the political guys do it. One of their donors or one of the lobbyists, and I have lobbyists too. I have lobbyists all over the place. They're wonderful. They do whatever I tell them to do. They're wonderful. I pay them. And Ford has lobbyists. Believe me, they have lobbyists. And so does Mexico have lobbyists against us. They have lobbyists against us. So here's what's going to happen. They're going to say, well, that's really unfair. We're not going to let that happen. But then they're going to get a phone call from donors and lobbyists. And they're going to say, wait a minute, they supported your campaign. You can't hurt Ford by doing this. That's a terrible thing. That's a terrible thing. You can't do this. And these guys and people, whoever it may be, are going to say, you're right, they did support me. Okay, I'll let them send in the cars for no tax, etc., etc. Okay? Now here's the difference. I would say, ain't going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And then what they're going to do is they're going to say, hang on, Mr. President, this is terrible that you're doing. Well, it's all right, 35% tax. You're going to pay it, or you're going to move the plant back into our country. Well, we're not going to do it. So here's what's going to happen with me. Guaranteed, just like you're sitting there. That's why I say I'll do it myself, because it's only a couple of phone calls, okay? Thousands of jobs, but it's only a couple of phone calls. They'll call me back probably within the hour, but let's say at the latest the following day. I'd like to speak to Mr. Trump, to President Trump. I'd like to speak to him. I'd say, yes. Say, Mr. Trump, we really want to be able to stay in Mexico. I said, that's okay. And you're going to pay. Then, Mr. Trump, President Trump, we're going to move our plant back into the United States. Now, as sure as you're sitting there, and that's so easy, all you have to do is say it. That's so easy. And they will be back and they will cancel that deal in 2 seconds. And Mexico will be very angry. Now, again, Mexico, China, these countries are not our friends. I'm saying it's fine to do business with. And I'm a big free trader. I believe in free trade. The problem with free trade is you need smart people on your side. And we don't have smart people. We have dumb people. We have incompetent people. We have political hacks. We don't have smart people. Free trade's great, but you gotta have smart people. So I would tell them, that's great news. And you're gonna build your plant now in the United States. Yes, sir, we are. I say, very good, congratulations. And when the lobbyists call me, and when the donors call me, I say, you're not a donor because I don't need your money. I never took any of your money. I don't want anybody's money. I got a lot of money. I made a lot of money. So I don't have any donors. And I don't need lobbyists. I hire lobbyists when I want something. I don't need these people. So with me, they don't have any impact. The problem with the politicians and the people that talk about the moon and the sun and rising and everybody's going to be happy and nothing happens except we get killed by every nation in the world. The problem with that is they're all controlled by their donors and their lobbyists. I'm a donor to many politicians. They respond to me very well. I don't know about lately, now sort of. Say, what the hell happened to him? So, we have tremendous problems. Let me tell you another story that's a great story. I have a friend who's a great excavator. He's a very big excavator. And the other day, he calls me, and he's not a happy camper. And he just ordered a tremendous amount of excavation equipment. And I said, what's wrong? He said, well, it's Komatsu. I said, but you've always ordered Caterpillar. He said, yeah. And by the way, I'm one of the biggest people with John Deere. I paid millions and millions. John Deere's a great company, but this guy's a deep excavator. So, Caterpillar makes good stuff too, right? But he said, I've always ordered Caterpillar. But, I had no choice because Japan has so devalued the yen. And I owe it to my family, my wife, my children, my employees, and myself, to the company to get the best deal. He said Caterpillar couldn't even compete with the deal that I made for Komatsu, and I feel very badly about it, he said. Then I spoke to another friend of mine, and this is a man who's a manufacturer, and he's a great manufacturer. And you know, we hear about China, that it's free trade, right? Free trade, you know, they send all their stuff to us, no tax, we send stuff to them, we can't. Think about Japan. When was the last time you saw Chevrolet in the middle of Tokyo? I don't think so. Number one, the people won't buy it, even if it's a great product, because they have a pride, which I like, that I respect. But number two, they won't allow it to happen. And yet they sell their cars to us by the millions. Because we're stupid. Our leaders are stupid. So this friend is a great manufacturer. And he tells me, you know, Donald, I'm having such a problem dealing with China. I can't get my stuff. And he makes really high quality stuff, much higher than the quality that they make. He said they find all sorts of reasons not to accept it. And he actually had a boat go over, and then the boat was sent back. It was sent back. And then he gets it over, he calls me, he says, you know, they took it, but they charged me a 42% tariff. Now it's a tariff, they don't call it a tax because that's too crude. They call it a tariff. And they call that free trade. And that's because we have leaders that don't know what they're doing. We have people that don't have a clue. So we talk about the, you know, you probably saw the gross domestic product last week. Did anybody see that? Where we actually went down, we're actually below zero. You know what that means? That means the country we're going like, we're getting smaller. It's unheard of. I never even heard of it. I guess it can happen during maybe a depression or something. But what it really means is that other places are sucking our business away from us. That means they're taking our jobs. And not only China. Hey, look, I love China. I mean, I sell apartments for $25 million from people to China. Am I supposed to dislike them? I like them. I think they're wonderful people. The biggest bank in the world is a tenant of mine in one of my buildings. Biggest bank, it's China. It's a China bank, of course. In fact, I asked the head of the bank, how do you compare your bank size-wise with, let's say, Citibank, one of our big banks? He goes, it is a small subsidiary. And he means it, it's true. This bank has 400 million customers. Okay, 400 million customers. And they come into the United States. You know why? Because, you know, we want to keep it going. And they're a wonderful tenant. The rent comes in on time. That I can tell you. They got plenty of money. They got plenty of money. So when I look at what's happening, and I look at the stupidity of our country, look at, as an example, this nuclear deal with Iran. And you have to say, I've been saying for years, keep the oil. And I also said, and some of you will like it, some of you won't, but I hated the idea of going in. You know, when they blew up the World Trade Center, most of the people sent their families back to Saudi Arabia. They didn't send them back to Iraq. And we got it all wrong. And then after we got it wrong, then on top of it, Obama took everybody out. So now the whole thing is a total mess. What a mess we have. And we have no clue. These guys have no clue, and there is a way of fixing it. But one thing, you know, I told somebody today, I have this way, it's foolproof. But I hate to talk about it. Because when I watch Obama getting up and saying he's going to do this, and there won't be troops, and there won't, he's telling the enemy everything. He's like telling them everything. General Douglas MacArthur, I'm a big fan of Douglas MacArthur. Highest grades in the history of West Point. General George Patton. Can you imagine they're spinning in their grave as our president saying, yes, in 2 weeks we're sending this troops. Or when he says we're not sending troops. Saying we're not sending troops isn't good either, even if you're not. Because now they believe him. We will not send troops. Well, they should think that there are troops, you know, even if you're not. I mean, maybe, like, give them false messages. Screw them up a little. We tell them, we stand up and we make news conferences. Exactly what we're doing. The Iran Pact, Marie Harf, the nice blonde woman with the big fat glasses, right? She gets up and they said on the Iran deal, you know, we're giving them hundreds of millions of dollars a month. You know that, right? Did you see that 2-3 weeks ago? We started paying them hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars a month. And she gets up and says, somebody said, well, we're having a hard time with the Iran, with the nuclear pact. Why are we paying them all this money? She said, one thing has nothing to do with the other. Then it's too complicated. Why are we doing it? Are these people, they did not read The Art of the Deal. Has everyone in here read everyone's read The Art of the Deal. My book, by the way. Why are they doing it? I'll give you another example. We had 3 prisoners when this started, now it's 4. They have them in the worst prison. We had 3. One is a joke because he's a Christian. I'm Protestant, by the way, I'm proud to tell you. Are you shocked that I'm Protestant? I'm Presbyterian. Can you believe it? Nobody. They don't believe I'm running either. You know, I do great at that, but nobody thinks I'm running. But they have 3 prisoners. Now it's 4, the writer. So they're 4 prisoners. But when this unbelievably lengthy negotiation started, now, you know, we're not sending a rocket to the moon. We're really not. This negotiation should take 1 day. They shouldn't take months and months. And by the way, they're going back in June, at the end of June, to start negotiating again, except our chief negotiator, Kerry, who is not a negotiator, he's in a bicycle race. I mean, what the hell is he doing in a bicycle race? He's 72 years old. And he's in a bicycle race. And he falls off his bike and he breaks his leg. This is our chief negotiator. You know, there's a point at which you really want to focus on making a good deal. So, they're out there doing their deal. And I would have said, number one, you don't give them money. You give them money if you make a deal. You give them the money. We, in theory, owe them money. You know, we took the money. We don't have to give it back yet. Why so soon? Keep it for another 10 years, you know? But why don't you make a part? But I said to him, I said, so I can't believe it. Why aren't they going out to these people and saying very strongly, we want, at the first meeting, the first sentence, the first paragraph, you sit down with these killers. And you know, the Iranians are very good negotiators, Persians, great negotiators. Always have been. You sit down with them and you say, fellas, now sadly for the women in the audience, they haven't figured out that women are smarter than men yet. It's going to take them another couple of years. There are no women out there that are negotiating for them. So, you know, they'll figure it out, but it'll take them a while. But they have all men. So you say, sadly, fellas, you got 3 people. Now it's 1. You got 3 people. First sentence, before you start even talking. You don't need them, you don't want them, they don't do you any good. Be good for me if you get them back. Make us all look good. It'll make the deal look better. It'll be good for the American. But let the 3 prisoners go. Let them go. And you know what they're going to do? If it's given by the right messenger, not some incompetent person, they're going to let them go. Because they're making a great deal. That's the next thing. They shouldn't be making that deal. But they're going to let them go. Now, if they don't let them go, what you say is, you're not going to let them go? No. Deal's off. They'll call you back the next morning, they'll let them go. 100%. Not like 99%, 100%. We don't even bring them up. I see the mothers on television crying and desperate to get their babies, grown men, to get their babies out of the horrible, horrible prison. And they shouldn't be there. I mean, one's there, I said, because he's a Christian pastor. He's a pastor. He's there because he's a Christian. Now, if they say no, I won't do that. Okay, that's okay. Bye-bye. See you later. You're going to get a call. Probably just like Ford. I say they'll call you back the afternoon, but it might be the next day, before they move their plant to the United States, and before we get thousands of jobs. Well, same thing with these guys. They'll probably call you that afternoon, maybe the next day. They're going to release those people. Sure as you're sitting there, they're going to release them. We don't even bring it up. It's never been mentioned during the nuclear talks. Never been mentioned. Because we're dealing with politicians and incompetent people on our side. And they're negotiating against really tough, smart negotiators. Their finest. So how would you like to do this, the art of the deal? How would you like to do this? You're negotiating against some guy from Iran, and he's called their chief negotiator. And they got a table full of people. On the other side, we have our people, for whatever good they are. And they've been negotiating for many months. How many months has that been going on? Like forever. I mean, things been. And by the way, you know, I do it when I do deals. Sometimes I'm not sure if I want to do a deal. So it's called tap, tap, tap. You know what that is? Tap, tap, tap. I don't know if I want to do it. I'll tap along for a couple of months. Things change, I'll do it, I won't do it. It's called tapping. They're tapping us along. I guarantee you they're tapping us along, big league, by the way. They're doing nuclear behind our backs, I guarantee you. During this whole process, they're doing nuclear, 100%. They're making stuff up that they're not supposed to make. 100%, again, you're sitting here, as sure as you're sitting here, they're doing nuclear. They're tapping us along. So now, what happens is we have a negotiator who comes back, and Obama has a news conference, and he tells what the deal is all about. And in Iran, they announced that Obama is a liar. That it's not true. That the deal is this, that, and that. And they turn out to be right. And they're celebrating this negotiator in the streets of Iran. He's great, look at the great deal he made. And our guys are ashamed because the deal is so bad. And we take off sanctions. We should double and triple the sanctions and then negotiate. No, it's true. It's the most basic thing that you can imagine. We should double and triple the sanctions and make it, and not give them back hundreds of millions of dollars a month. Hundreds of millions. They're going to be so wealthy. They're going to get all the oil money. They're going to get all freed up commerce and everything else. They're going to get all this money that we're handing them back. And I don't even think they're going to obey whatever contract you sign, which is a weak contract to start off with, okay? Because it allows them to do many things that they shouldn't be allowed to do. So, this is the way our country is being run. And I'll tell you, the people that I'm competing against, I'm so none. You know, boy, they're going to hate me. Won't they hate me when I'm on stage with them? I have an amazing company. I have an amazing life. I don't care. I mean, the worst that happens, I lose. I have to go to Turnberry and get hit in the face with a beautiful wave. Okay, it's not the worst. I don't care. I want to make the country great again. We can do it. I mean, we can go. Thank you. Hold that sign up nice one. I love this guy. Look at him. Look at him. Turn it around so everyone can see. I love this guy. That's it. We can make this country great again. Now, a lot of people have been copying my phrase. Now, Ronald Reagan actually, you know, a lot of the so-called liberal press has said, well, you copied Ronald Reagan. I didn't copy Ronald. I used to be with Ronald Reagan. I helped him. He really liked me. I liked him. I was a young guy. Ronald Reagan appointed my sister a federal judge. Ronald Reagan liked me a lot, and he was a great guy. But I didn't copy at all. I didn't copy. His phrase was, let's make America great. That was a good phrase at the time. My phrase is, make America great again. Because we need the word again. I hate to use the word again. But you look at what's happened. China is now the big economic force. You know, a year ago they took over #1 in the world. You saw that. I mean, everybody saw that. I couldn't believe it. A lot of the papers put a little article like this big in the back of the paper. The establishment media, where they put this little thing, China becomes the #1. To me, it was a really big story. But we can make our country great again. Politicians cannot do it. They don't have the ability to do it. They don't have the understanding to do it. And even if they did have it, they wouldn't do it because the lobbyists and the donors will tell them, you can't do that. We supported you. We supported you. You cannot hurt Ford. I own 5% of that company. You cannot hurt Ford. You cannot do that. And every single one of them will fold. That's the way it works. Nobody knows the system better than me. That's the way it works. We are in serious trouble as a country because while our system in one way is great, our system is too easy to manipulate by people that shouldn't be manipulating it. And I can tell you, countries have lobbyists so that we make bad deals. And there's tremendous pressure on these politicians because most of them have no money. They need your money, they need people's money. And once they get the money, they do what the people tell them to do. Sad. It's sad. So, I love the country. I think we have tremendous potential. We owe $18 trillion. We have a military that's in disarray. I mean, think of this, 2,200 Humvees sitting in Iraq. ISIS now has all of them, every one of them. 2,000, I said, how the hell can you have that many? That's a lot of Humvees, they're expensive, they have the whole thing with the armor on the bottom. 2,200, it might be 2,400. ISIS has all of them, because the Iraqi soldiers flee. We give them billions of dollars worth of equipment. Every time the 2 shots are fired, they flee. And I was the one that said, keep the oil. Okay? I was always the one that said, keep the oil. And people would say, oh, what a terrible statement. This is a country, you can't do it. Give me a break. I said, keep the oil. We lost on that deal $2 trillion. More importantly, thousands of lives. Wounded warriors who I love more than anything, all over the place. And we should have kept the oil and given plenty of money to the families of those wounded warriors and those killed warriors. You know who has the oil now, right? ISIS. ISIS. Did you see last week? ISIS is building a hotel in Syria. Did you see that? ISIS is building a hotel. I don't like that because they get their money for free. I have to pay 2%. ISIS is building a hotel. It just got completed. It looks lovely. I don't think I'll go there. Frankly, I think I'm not going to check it out. But they're building hotels. And they're building it with the oil money. That I said keep the oil, and everybody said, what a mean thing to say. What a horrible thing to say. The Iraqi government is totally corrupt. What we've done there is horrible. It's horrible. And then on top of it, we left. So that made it even worse, because now what's formed is incredible. But there's a way we can win swiftly, decisively, and really do a job. So on the 16th, I'll be actually coming back here. On the 16th, I'll be making an announcement. And I think, certainly the people in this room, I think a lot of people are going to be very, very happy with what I have to say. And I have to tell you that I love doing what I'm doing. I love my company. I have a wonderful family. I have great people. I have wonderful I love what I do. I'm building all over the world. I'm building all over the world. I'm building great things, even on Pennsylvania Avenue. Think of it. I'm building a hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue right next to the White House. It's going to be the finest thing. But I love what I do. And people say, everyone says, he's not running because why would he do that? He's got such a life. I want to make the country great again. That's much more important than doing a hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue. So, I'm going to be announcing something that I think will be very exciting for a lot of people. It'll be very different, and my campaign's going to be very different. I'm going to show numbers that are phenomenal, far greater than what anyone ever knew. I built a great thing. Some of the most iconic places in the world. We need that kind of thinking if we're going to get out of this problem. One of the reporters recently said to me, but do you think you're a nice enough person for the voters to vote? And actually I am. You know, with The Apprentice, I put off The Apprentice. You know, I give up a lot. When I don't run, I put off The Apprentice. I don't do hundreds of deals. I don't do deals and hundreds of millions of dollars. I give up a lot. Politicians give up nothing. They run, they lose, they win. Half of the politicians that are running right now lost elections. So they lost elections, now they're going to run for president. No, it's unbelievable. They get fired for jobs. Oh, let's run for president. Okay, I got fired. That's oh, look, see, there's another nice guy on this side. That's good. I love that side. You're right. But we have a chance to be great. But we can't keep it going much longer. We can't keep it going like this. We can't continue to be led by stupid people or people that are controlled by the wrong people. And that's what's happening with our country. We just can't do it. And I'll tell you this, and this is a rough statement. You see what's happening. And I can tell you that even more so outside of an area like this, which is such a great state. The American dream is dead. But if I run, and if I win, we will bring the American dream back bigger and stronger and better than it's ever been.